Lads, Merry Christmas. How are we?
Not too bad. How
Oh
are
my
you?
God.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
I am also good.
That's
Oh,
good.
Yeah,
That's
that
pretty
is really good.
Yeah.
Just
Uh,
positive vibes all around.
yeah. I mean,
exactly.
maybe not in Germany right now because
Probably not.
last night they suffered their worst loss since the Battle of the Bulge. But
Oof.
Oh,
That was
no.
yeah.
that's a history reference right there.
Yeah,
Oh.
boom. Let's go. Although, guys, it is December 27th. The World Juniors. We're going, guys. It's day 2 today, I believe. No,
Day 3.
Day three. Day three.
Day 3. We're gonna do a nice. Most of the show is gonna be the World Juniors. It's been a fun tournament. Though there, of course, have been lopsided matches, but some more than usual. Yeah, there was a game I predicted would be 6-2, not 16-2, and we'll get to that a little later. So we do have some house cleaning to get through, and that's going to be some quick NHL stuff. First of all, to quote Jeff Goldblum in the original Jurassic Park, life finds a way. But instead, you swap out life in Tampa Bay because they have re-signed Anthony Cirelli. Coincidentally, and we're not saying this on purpose, obviously, we talked about this last episode, right as Kucherov is out for the season, it doesn't take very long for Cirelli to be re-signed. It's a 3-year deal. $4.8 million is the AAV for the guy who was right outside the finalists for the Selke Trophy. Alex, you're wearing Tampa Bay colors right now. Go ahead.
But I'm wearing Leaf jersey.
I know,
just
but
to be
it's Tampa
clear.
Bay colors.
I mean, we all knew this was going to happen. Like we knew that they were going to figure it out.
Mhm.
And they did.
They did.
Except they had to give up absolutely nothing. Like in terms of players, assets, they obviously will lose Kucherov for a full season, a full regular season, but in 56 games when they're playing, they're hard. Like, man, their division is. I don't know how to describe it.
Do you have it up in front of you?
I think so. Is it Boston, Tampa, Buffalo, Florida, Detroit, Chicago, Nashville, and St. Louis?
I thought, was Minnesota in there before and got moved, or?
Was it just added?
Let's see if I can find the right one. Let me go on NHL.com.
I wonder what their cap is going to look like when it comes to, do they now, with Kucherov being out for the season, and of course, once you get past the trade deadline into the playoffs, cap situations just sort of go out the window. How, if they're, maybe now they can hold on to TJ for another year? Though, Daniel, your thoughts on the deal as well. I hate Tampa Bay. I hate them.
Yeah,
Thank God they're not in the same division as the Leafs and Montreal this year.
Yeah, I think it's two things that I look at with this is it's one of those moves that it was already cued in a way that, once there's an opening, this is going to just happen. And, really, really great cap hit for the Lightning. And what we talked about before, they managed to get it done. What I said before was, that cap crunch was inevitable, especially with the young talent they brought up. And just what I've said before, looking at this and thinking of Stan Bowman, what he had to do when they had to year after year dismantle those championship teams. And the way the Lightning is, and it's only been this one season, but the way they've been able to kind of manage everything, they didn't get rid of a lot of people. Alex and I could argue that Carter Verhage was probably the biggest casualty of this free agent time, but
don't forget about Zach Bogosian.
Oh, and Zach Bogosian, my apologies. I didn't see the jersey there, but I thought it was actually a Lightning jersey. I thought it was a Luke Shen Lightning jersey, sorry.
No.
But yeah, great on them that, it's going to be a huge loss with Nikita Kucherov being out. But the fact that they buy enough time to kind of figure out this cap crunch again, because I still think Tyler Johnson is gone. I still think they're going to figure out how to get rid of Alex Killorn, maybe Yanni Gourde. I don't know, but I know that Yanni Gourde's a bit up there when it comes to keeping the guys together.
Yeah, he's the type of guy that helps you in the playoffs. Of those three, he's the last guy you want to move.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I found the divisions. So.
Okay, so yeah, can you just read out Tampa Bay's then?
So Tampa, Nashville, Florida, Detroit, Dallas, Columbus, Chicago, and Carolina.
Yeah, Tampa's winning.
Yeah, they're winning.
Yeah, they're winning. But why isn't this on like the main page of NHL.com? Why did I have to
Because
go
it's on
back to an
NHL.com.
article from a week ago?
Because they're gonna tell us that they're gonna make another change, like in like a day or so, and go like, "That's not the final draft."
Of course not.
I think Daniel made a good point there that this is just like they're going to have this same issue next year. It's not like anyone majors coming off the books. Like projected cap space for next year is already negative $3.5 million. They have a cap hit of $85 million. Blake Coleman, Cedric Paquette, Barclay Goodrow, Braden Coburn, Luke Shen, and Curtis McElhaney are UFAs, and they are still over the cap.
But you know what? At the end of the day, we're not worried about them.
No.
I just wonder because we're gonna get the taxi squads eventually for our favorite teams, but I'm just thinking for Tampa because we love Andrei Vasilevsky, but what other than who is gonna be their other goalies?
Doesn't matter.
Chris Gibson
Mm-hmm.
or Spencer Martin. Those are the two guys they have signed
Okay.
at the moment.
Maybe Ingram.
No, Ingram's
Stayed out
not.
of trouble.
He's in
Ingram's
Nashville.
Nashville?
Yeah,
Oh, no, he
and
was in Tampa.
he's
He was
in
in
that he's I mean it's alleged, but he's in that betting controversy right now.
Yeah.
Connor Ingram?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, I
he's
didn't
part of
know
the. He was part of the Swedish team or the team in the league that was. It's him and I think Grunstrom is also part of it too.
Yeah.
He's a member of the squad, I should say. Yeah.
I mean, he
You're
put up
talking
some
about
pretty
him
good
as-
numbers the last 2 years.
Yeah, but not in the game that's alleged in.
yeah, that apparently
Oh,
through the
yeah.
game. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
It was
okay.
it was not good.
I didn't hear about that. That's interesting.
Listen, it's a
Not
recent
in a good
STT
way.
episode. I know you were behind your podcast.
Oh,
that's
I'm so
probably why.
behind. And now that
Yeah.
my laptop's not working, so I'm even more behind.
Oh yes, that is the update. We wish Alex's laptop the best
Speed
right now.
recovery.
Speedy recovery.
speedy recovery.
It's on LTIR at the moment.
Yeah, it's on Robida Island.
Speaking of recovery, we give our best wishes to Team Canada captain Kirby Doc, who
Mhm.
Yes.
in what looked like a very innocent collision against the Russians in Canada's pre-tournament game. Have you seen the picture of his wrist? Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
He is
Yeah.
not coming back for the tournament. The IIHF have a really weird rule where you have to have a captain. So Bowen Byram and I can't. Who is the second? Is
Dylan
it
Cousins.
Cousins.
Yeah.
Cousins. Yeah. Cousins. Jesus, his name should be Cousins. It's cool.
I actually don't know because a lot of people it's been like a 50-50 split with me saying Cousins or Cousins.
Anyway, so because they have to have a C, Byram and Cousins will be Ferraro saying Cousins, so I'm saying it's that. We'll be splitting games with the C, but they have made it very clear, and so have Team Canada, that
Yeah.
Doc is their captain. A nice sentiment, but boy, it is a big loss for Canada. He is. I think there is an argument to be made that with Doc, he was their best player. And they weren't giving Byfield a lot of ice time, unfortunately.
No.
Before we move on quickly, I don't know if you were going to go to the World Juniors, but I do have breaking news.
Okay.
The Washington Capitals have made a move. They have
Really?
they signed goaltender Craig Anderson to a professional tryout.
Oh,
That's
good on him.
That's a good move.
Last year he was 11-17-2 with a 3.25 goals against average and a 902 save percentage in 34 games with Ottawa last season.
A 902 on Ottawa, a veteran goalie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really good move for them. I think that's a very solid move.
I mean, if there was another guy you could have thrown in there, obviously it's a very unfortunate what happened to Henrik Lundqvist, but it's him, Ryan Miller, and Craig Anderson, and even Jimmy Howard. Like, I think putting a veteran guy behind Ilya Samsonov is probably one of the best things that you could do for his career.
Yeah, exactly.
And we said before we don't really know what is Phoenix Copley.
Right.
Cool name though.
Yeah.
One of the best in the league. We'll do taxi squads at the end just because I'm really eager to get into the World Juniors. I'm not gonna lie.
Alrighty.
But one more piece of business. Last night it broke. The Sens have acquired Derek Stepan for a second-round pick from the Arizona Coyotes. The second rounder was actually Columbus's pick. So the Sens do not lose any of their own selections in this deal. It is still a very strange deal for the Sens.
Yeah, it's an overpayment.
They have, especially because you made a very good point here last night, Alex, that the Coyotes need to shed salary, and we saw Schmidt was dealt for nothing. Just off the top of my head, I'm thinking that St. Louis had to move on from Allen for nothing. We've seen so many, like Columbus have moved a few defensemen for it. And I mean, if there's a team that you're going to take advantage of, you think you can do it with the Sens. Nemestikov was bad, but it was a later pick. A second though, like those are those. I love a second round pick. It's nice. They're like a nice ripe apple. Who doesn't love a nice second round?
Good crunch to that, yeah.
Good, but with a combination of juice, the nice
substance
apple, it's lovely, right?
Mm-hmm. It could pan out into like a solid pie. We don't know that.
Yeah, maybe some sauce. I mean, put it into a gravy. To give that like sort of tang to it.
Wait, there's a gravy in apple. There's apples and gravy.
You can.
Sorry, this is off topic.
You can do like apple cider into a nice, reduce it down and make it into a nice gravy for Christmas.
Okay.
But you mix a lot of stuff in there. But like you can, yeah.
Okay. Now on to the next step on. Yeah, like the move for me was, maybe I'm just looking too far back, but I'm looking back at 2017, that draft where, a lot of assets moving here and there, getting for what they thought was a first line center maybe, and it just has not worked out in Arizona for Derek Stepan.
No. And they were after him for a while.
Yeah, it's been downward trajectory for a couple of years. Like his first season is in Arizona wasn't awful. He'd put up 56 points in 82 games, which was almost a career high. And then 18-19 he had 35 points. Last year he had 28 points, and I know you could say it's Arizona, and I know he's only 30 years old, but I really think that second's an overpayment, and I know it's Columbus's pick, but it's not like it's still going to be a mid-round pick. Like how far is Columbus going to go next year? You traded Murray, you traded Marcus Nudivara, Pierre-Luc Dubois isn't signed yet. Josh Anderson, you trade Josh Anderson, you bring in Max Domi. Like how far is this team going?
Not to mention that they're in that division with most notably Carolina.
Yeah.
And you ever heard of them? Tampa Bay.
Oh yeah, we just talked about them. And Dallas.
To, steal everyone's lunch money. By the way, underratedly, Tampa, Dallas for 9-10 games is going to be feisty.
Definitely did that on purpose.
When I think about this deal, like I think Arizona escaped some of it because Tony DeAngelo really did develop into a solid player, but Elias Anderson didn't become really a substantial part of the future.
Yeah, you can.
For the Rangers, they traded him for like the 60th overall pick in the recent draft. Andy Rotna has been solid for the Coyotes. He just can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a wash, but I think it's just when I look back on the Coyotes, it's again another example of that asset management of what are you doing with your draft picks? What are you actually really acquiring?
Well, they're regaining a pick that they lost thanks to oh no, did they lose their second round? Never mind. They just gained an extra second round pick. They don't have their first this year.
Well, they're recovering somewhat from they remember as for those of you who don't know, due to a guy they developed. We talked about Mitchell Miller a ton, how terrible that was. And then trades they had picks they had traded and then were penalized for breaching the combine testing stuff.
Yeah.
So are they losing anything? No, but they're trying to recover as much from the 2020 draft because they couldn't make any picks.
The thing I don't get from Ottawa's perspective is, did they really need to make this move?
No, there was a tweet I saw. I'm gonna try and see if I can find it again.
Because
it was John Tierney. It was what their lineup looked like, and I was like,
yeah.
Like
if you're Pierre, if I'm thinking from Pierre Dorian and DJ Smith's point, you'd rather want to play your young guys unless you don't think your young guys are ready. But to give up a second round pick, instead of going out and like, unless you really didn't like what was out there in the open market, I don't see why you give up a second round pick. And you could say, well, like I believe they're a team who had multiple second round picks, but it's still a second round pick. They had 3, now they have 2.
Yeah, they're weird. The Sens are weird.
It's interesting to me because what I kind of find is everything Alex said, where they have Schlappick, our favorite guy in the Kraken in our GM mode, or they have guys who have been there a while already who they said they're gonna develop them into centers, like Colin White, Logan Brown. These are guys that they keep going back and forth.
How many rookie tournaments has Logan Brown been in now?
Yeah, that I kind of find that you're not gonna contend. Like, give these guys minutes.
Yeah, it's very strange. Like, looking at their lineup right now, and so this is from Sean Tierney, and he has this graphic, a lineup creator tool from at Charting Hockey, and it has Derek Stephon on the second line. He's with Josh Norris and Tim Stützle. By the way, Stützle. Oh, Stützle's nice. Stützle's a player. First line they have it with Colin White, Dodonov, and Kachuk, right? And then the third line, it's Connor Brown, Galchenyuk, and then Logan Brown. The fourth line, Anisimov, Tierney, and Batherson. And I mean, looking at their defense, it's still Chabot and Gudbranson. We know Zaitsev's there. Mike Riley's around. What's Branstrom going to be? He'll be good, and then Hoberg and Murray. It's just, I don't know if the point of the deal, when you think of Stefan's salary, you could also think, could you not have just spent on Arcala? Or I think Granlund as well could have been. Maybe they didn't want to go to Ottawa, but it's a questioning. It's a questionable move from the
Yeah, like, to me, he makes. I understand he makes $2 million. That's his base salary. Arizona paid the 3.5. I think he was making in the signing bonus. But to me, this deal looks more like a move for leadership than it was for a need that you had, because I think the way they're positioned, it might be better for them to play their young guys than, like, how competitive are they really going to be in the Canadian division? Because I think there's a significant gap between Ottawa and the next closest team, because the thing with the Canadian division, and we brought up last time, there's Ottawa, there's a bunch of teams, and then there's the top tier teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the difference between the top tier teams and that middle clump isn't that big, but the difference between the middle clump and Ottawa, I think, is more significant.
Yeah, I projecting third line center Logan Brown, when it's just he has not made an impact. No one has been shouting about Logan Brown. Is concerning when you look at some of the center depth of other Canadian teams. Right off the bat, I'm thinking of the Oilers. I'm thinking of the Leafs, even the Canadians to a certain extent. It's worrying. Though we'll get out of there. It's time to dive into the World Juniors. If you don't like the World Juniors, I don't know how you're here, and you might as well turn off the podcast now, because that's all we're talking about for the rest of the episode. Lads, I mean, where do you guys want to start here? There's a lot. There is a lot. I mean,
I'm too overwhelmed of excitement. I don't know.
It's what's good about this is I haven't. It's very strange. The three of us haven't actually talked that much since the tournament started. It's really just been Mike and I yelling at each other throughout the group chat. So I like to leave
you guys. I like to leave you guys to it.
Yeah,
I mean, like, there's been the presence of it in the force throughout this whole podcast of me mentioning these guys.
I feel a disturbance when it's 11-1 after the second period.
Yes.
Though, I guess, you know what, let's start it. Let's start it here. Last night was pretty rough for Team Germany, who, if you've been paying attention, you know what's up. But for those of you who don't, Germany has just been hit so hard with COVID. I believe it was Mackenzie was saying, I think it was 8 or 9 players have tested positive.
Mm-hmm.
Their starting goalie is there. Lucas Reichel is among them players. How a normal hockey game works is When you're starting a game, you have 2 goalies, 1 in the net, you're back up on the ice. You have 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, 18 skaters, 2 goalies. Team Germany had 14 skaters last night. They did not have a fourth line, and they had 5 defensemen. Their game against Finland, which they put up a damn good fight, we'll talk about that a little later, the average ice time on that team was 21 minutes.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow.
There is and I really want to talk about Germany to start here because I loved seeing them in the gold medal game in the Olympics. And Germany is a sports market. They're insane, Germany. They are such a they're always, it seems like they never are down for long, Germany. You know what I mean? And I feel like they're such an underrated market. Like, obviously, like, you want the NHL going into Asia, but Germany, with Draisaitl especially, and what they were able to do with the Olympics, there is a step forward there. And it's much different when you see Canada spank Kangas. How do you say
Kazakhstan?
Like
Kazakhstan.
9-1.
Kazakhstan.
Like, that's different.
Yeah.
But what Canada did to Germany last night, 16-2, was legitimately heartbreaking to watch. I'm amazed it took to the third period for Stützle to slam a bench door close and show some frustration, because that was, I think there was a stat that the most goals that Canada has scored at the World Juniors is 18 against Poland decades ago. There was either another 16 or 18 goal game against Germany in the 80s, and last night was 16-2. And I feel like if Canada had kept pressing at the end there, they were going to hit 18. I mean, from the game's get-go, the moment that Caden Gooley scored, you said, oh no. Like, when Germany had their chance right after the 2-on-1 that Levi stopped, you thought, all right. They almost came back against Finland. There's a chance here. And then it wasn't even like the American game when they had 70 shots and Austria barely got 10. It was pure, like, there was no goaltending. There was just no sort of, the moment Stützle wasn't on the ice, it was, we're done.
I was reading that Canada has like 19 first round picks, and Germany has 14 skaters.
Canada had more goals than Germany had shots. I'm thinking at the top of my head as well. Again, yeah, every forward was a first rounder. And I'm thinking Gooley, Drysdale, Byram are first rounders as well.
Yep.
At least. Like,
they didn't even have Braden Schneider because of that game misconduct.
That gutless hit by stupid hit.
Yeah.
Not as bad as the hit in the Austria game, but I don't know what he was thinking there. But I appreciate that, by the way, the IIHF are very serious with this. We don't have Stinky on the suspension yet. But, I mean, lads, let's just take a second to... The Germans, apparently, they think their guys are going to be back by the time they have to face, like, a Slovakia and that. And their goal is to make it to the quarters. If they win one of those games, they're going to make it. Mm-hmm. But just, like, I want to get your guys just a word here on just, like, the amount of respect we need to have for the Germans. I know, like, Cousins after the game was talking about it. It was Ryan Rashog wasn't very original and kind of asked the same thing to every player about it. But just a word from you both, starting with you, Dan, on Team Germany, because it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch.
I think that, yeah, it's something that I don't think is necessarily a step back per se, but it's something that it is a bit unfortunate to see how that program is right now, because I remember growing up when, you think of German hockey, you think of Christian Ehrhoff, you think of Marco Sturm, Olaf Kolzing, those are the only guys you really see. And then I think it was Ray Ferraro or Gord Miller last night that talked about it, where, this is a program that's on the rise. Like, single-handedly their best player is Leon Draisaitl, only at 25. And this is a team that's going to be on the rise eventually, a program that's going to continue to have these amount of NHL players. And like you mentioned, Lucas Reichel, that was a huge hit for them, because that was definitely another person that you could say that, he is a bright spot on this program. I remember looking at the goalies as well, like they're playing in Division II right now in their junior programs. And I think that very disheartening, especially, these are a bunch of 17, 18, 19-year-old guys, but it's kind of crazy. It's hard for me to kind of say that of all the praise I have right now of the program, what kind of happened last night, because I know they were shorthanded, but I think it's just a blip in everything. It's not something that's going to be a trend, but we're going to see with this program moving forward.
Their backup didn't even have a painted mask.
Oh,
No,
Which
it was
is,
G backup.
poor guy, Alex.
Kind of.
I mean, I feel awful for those guys. Daniel said a lot. Just, it's not a step backwards, and I think they're in a really tough situation. Like they don't have 8 or 9 guys, and they're gonna hopefully get them back. But at the moment, they are down these guys, and last night was a bloodbath. Like, that was bad. But you do have to. I think you guys make some good points. Like, they do have an up and coming program. Leon Draisaitl, Tim Stützle from this year. I think Lucas Reichel's next year. Like and it's they're producing these really high end prospects. And I think as the game continues to grow in Germany, and Adam makes a good point, Germany is a really good market to grow in. I mean, considering how they adore soccer, I think it could be really big if hockey gets somewhat desirable in that country. And I think playing when they do those European games, and I know this year and probably next year that might not happen, but those European games, go to Germany, send Ottawa, send Edmonton, like, you send those German guys there. And I think the difference between the last generation of German guys in this generation, of this upcoming generation, in Draisaitl, Stützle, and Reichel, is that they're supposed to be, and Draisaitl's already there at that top tier level. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's going to grow the game there.
By the way, Reichel was drafted by Chicago, just by the way, in the last draft. Also, John Hederkraft.
Yeah, 17th.
I'm not going to be able to say it right. Buffalo Sabres prospect John Hederkraft. I'm English. I can't say German, even though apparently our royalty is probably part German. And
Saxman Kohlberg.
Yeah, but John Petrika was also. He scored. I think he was one of Germany's goals. It went off a Byram stick, but they've got guys there, Germany. And again, Sens fans. Oh boy, Tim Stützle. Oh boy.
Pretty great, yeah.
In that game, he had a few moments, a few shifts where you said, "Oh, well, he's better. He is easily. That's the reason he went third. He's better than a lot of these Canadian players. Honestly, yeah. He was. We're not putting down Byfield. We're going to talk about him a little later and just how insane it is that people are counting him out. But the Sens are going to be so happy with Byfield right now. Also, the Germans did put up a brave fight against the Finns. They were down. I believe it was 3-0 at one point. They came in to make it 3-2. Eventually lost. I think it was 5-2, 5-3 against the Finns. I watched that game and I thought, you know what? If Germany can put up this fight against the Finns, I mean, questionable from Finland. They probably should have been more consistent. They had a few defensive breakdowns there that led to those German goals. Again, 2 points that game from Stützle. But I also wonder if the Germans, let's say a few of their players aren't ready come their last few games of the round robin, even with them coming back, what state is Stützle going to be in, or any of those top line guys playing the amount they are, plus even the morale of the team? Like, I would pay. It's kind of horrible to say. I would pay to kind of see what their locker room was last night. Like, what is the emotional toll on you after a game like that?
It's interesting. Like, I'm thinking the same thing as well. Like, what do you say if I'm the head coach of Germany? Like, I walk into that room and say, well, we have 14 guys. Like, let's not kid ourselves here. Even if they were full strength, it wouldn't be 16-2, but it'd still be a difficult game for Germany. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you're down guys, you just got brutally just kicked 16-2. I think a lot a lot of it is going to be what did that coach say last night? Because your next game is against Slovakia tomorrow on December 28th.
Who got
You
slapped by Sweden yesterday as well.
Yeah.
who yeah. And all and those top line guys, Stutzel, like someone like Stutzel, he's either going to walk in there and he's going to be just meh, like his body language, and he's not, or he's going to be absolutely pissed that his team just got murdered 16-2, and he's going to have a game like no other.
Daniel.
I kind of think that, Tim Stutzel's someone that, as the captain, has to rally them. I know that it's kind of hard to do that after a game like that, but they kind of have to see it this way, where we look at the score, we look at, in a way, the humiliation of the kind of things that happened because they're shorthanded and they had to play all these guys so many minutes. But I don't know, I'm seeing this. It's still one game. It's still, the tournament has to go on, that they will be able to kind of prove themselves that they could still go for those upsets. What I kind of think about is maybe not at the extent anymore, but the Swiss program where they have gone through a lot of these embarrassments at every level. I remember Benjamin Cons, this was way back in the World Juniors, but this guy put up like 55 saves against Canada and kind of kept them in it. But I think of that situation where you just got to keep going with the tournament, that there's going to be these type of games, or even Latvia in the Olympics. Do you remember that Chris S versus, what's his name again?
Saber had that one with it was look up Latvia list. It's it's a great game. I'm sorry we weren't live for the or anything. Either.
Sorry, Adam,
you're cutting out.
You're cutting in and out, and there's an echo. No. Just to go a little bit off what Daniel was saying before, I think the reason I said that a lot of it's going to be on the coach is because these guys are so young. Like the oldest they can be is 19 or 20, and
U20, so it's
U20, so under at max 19.
They could be 20, like they could turn 20 during the tournament. Like, right. That's one of the rules. Yeah.
So I think it's difficult for any 19-year-old to, especially when it's a game like that, to walk into the room and to lift the team's spirit. Like, I think it's hard even for an NHL captain to do that. Like, I'm thinking, okay, if I'm the Leafs captain after, let's say they lost 9-2 to Nashville, how do you walk into that room and say we need to do better when you know that it's very difficult to do better right now?
No one's going to listen to you either. Do I sound any better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, a lot better.
Okay. Sweet. I guess next, do you guys want to go Finland? Do you want to go Sweden? Do you want to go the States, or do you want to go Canada?
Let's say Canada and the US for last.
Yeah.
Okay, Sweden. They extend their winning streak in the preliminary rounds to 53 straight games, but no one cares because it was against the Czechs, unfortunately. Not Slovakia. I mixed that up. Shout out to Jan. I'm going to try and say it right. It's not Mysak. Mishak. Jan Mishak, Canadian second-round pick and captain for the squad, getting the only goal for the Czechs. A rough game, but credit to Sweden. They have also been hit by the likes of COVID. They still have a roster, though they do not have a coach. Their head coach he's got COVID. He's away doing his own thing. But Sweden, I almost never pay attention to them because I know what they're about. They've got Broberg, who was player of the game for them in their match against the Czechs. Was amazing. Obviously, Edmonton have a good prospect there. And they've also got Lucas Raymond, who everyone is going to pay that much more attention to now after Detroit went off the board with him. though it's almost that they have become such a meme that they are what Washington were before they won the cup. That they are this amazing team in the preliminaries, and the closest I think it's since this streak has started, they've won one gold medal. They got close a few years ago, the year that Victor Mete was on Team Canada, but of course they lost after a late Canadian goal. I don't know what it is with Sweden. I'm just like I look at you guys. I'm like, cool. You go win the world championships that are all the NHLers who didn't make the playoff. Like, go do that. I should feel like I should be more scared of the Swedes, but I'm not. I don't know. It's just me though. I just like
We're
they're
getting too
good.
comfortable.
Like they're great. It's just win again. You're a powerhouse in international hockey. Get me more. Like do it for Lundqvist.
Do it for Lundqvist.
I know he hasn't played in the World Juniors since before we were a thing, but if that long ago.
I don't think he played because he was like not considered a top prospect. He was like in the 7th round.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna check that out. Henrik Lundqvist.
Fun fact: Patrick Waugh, Martin Brodeur never played in the World Juniors.
Waugh was a late rounder too, wasn't he?
Yeah, Brodeur didn't make the team.
That's hilarious.
Best
goalie ever, and
Martin Brodeur.
Why did I just completely miss out there?
What?
He did play in the World Juniors, by the way. Did Lundqvist?
Oh, okay.
He had an assist.
Wow.
Sorry, go on, Alex. But
No, I was just gonna say like Sweden's an interesting team. Like they do have some names like Jesper Wallstedt. He's supposed to be in next year's draft, and he's supposed to be a very good goalie. Tobias Bjornfoot, Kings draft pick from 2 years ago now. Broberg, obviously. Alexander Holtz from who was drafted this year. Like they got some guy again, Lucas Raymond, Zion Nybeck, Noel Gunler, Hugo Alnefelt from Tampa Bay. Like they got some guys. They got some really interesting players, but I feel like, and it's the thing with the difference between Canada and the United States, and Sweden, Finland, and Russia. But I think Russia's kind of in the middle of these guys. Is that can the U.S. always have more NHL guys than anyone else? Like more NHL ready guys than anybody else. And I think that if you every time you run into Canada and Canada and the US, it feels like that's just where they keep stopping, in my opinion.
What I kind of find with Sweden is like definitely like the amount of talent that is there that, you know, I love that example. It's like the Washington Capitals. I think if I could like to add one player to that, you know, list that you guys provided, like the one bright spot of the Arizona Coyotes right now, Victor Soderstrom, the defenseman, 11th overall in 2019. Like he has been really solid for them. He has been someone that I think that despite the fact we've said the barren lands of the Arizona Coyotes and their prospect system, he is really like the only, you know, light there right now. And yeah, Sweden, they have a squad. They have a team where when we talk about NHL ready guys, I think that, you know, we look at players like Lucas Raymond. We look at guys like Philip Broberg, especially, who I've been kind of waiting on to see what he does for Edmonton, where I'd be surprised if he doesn't get at least a look based on how many injuries and how many players they haven't really signed yet on that blue line. And maybe I'm just being optimistic with it, but maybe Sweden could kind of turn it around this year. I look back on that team that they had that kind of run where, you know, they get into the medal round and they get outshot like crazy and they just get the lucky bounces. And I think of Mika Zibanejad, where I remember when they won the gold medal against Russia and they were like outshot like 44-15, and then he scores the overtime winner. So you just really kind of never know with this tournament, but they're a team that I don't know why. I have this feeling that I kind of fear them more than I do the U.S. going against Canada.
You know, yeah. Let me just make it clear. I'm not saying that the Swedes are bad at all. I'm just not. They just have that sort of choke aura
Mhm.
around them. I mean, the states are so weird because I mean, I guess we'll move on from Sweden. I guess let's go to Finland then. Let's stay off because Russia, the states, and Canada, especially watch out for the Russians. We'll get to them. Again, Finland. We're waiting for them to have another game. But again, they had their win against Germany. They have against Germany. They have a good few Leafs prospects, Alex. So I'll let you take it away with Sweden.
Finland.
A well balanced squad, the Finns. Yes, I said Sweden, didn't I? Finns. Scandinavia. Why not? Just put them into one. They'd be so good. I mean, just a program that we're talking about Germany on the rise. Finland are
Yeah.
going in there 1-2 years ago. And I mean, like, they are if there's a dark horse, I feel like you could probably go Finland. I don't think they're going to win, but they can pleasantly surprise you.
Yeah, they got a few Leafs guys, but I don't think that's their bright spots necessarily. I mean, like a guy like Mikko Hakkinen and maybe Roni Hirvonen, but I think there are guys like Joel Blomqvist, who is also drafted this year in the second round by Pittsburgh. It was in the trade. That pick was in the trade from Ottawa. Brad, I don't know how he's finished, but he is Brad Lambert. I have a feeling that that's not how you say it, but that's just, I guess there. Henry Nikkanen, Anton Lundell, Ville Heinola. Obviously, Heinola played with Winnipeg last year,
He was
but
good against Germany. He stood out.
like those are guys that I think will live up to their expectations, and I think they'll bring Finland forward.
Mm-hmm. Daniel. I mean, talk about Hinola's a great name because if Winnipeg need anything, it's development in their defense.
Yeah,
And
go on. What I kind of find with Ville Hanola is, he didn't play the whole season, but this is a guy where he goes in getting drafted 20th overall after being the pick from the Jacob Trouba trade to the Rangers, or technically got their pick back from the the Kevin Hayes trade.
Yeah.
And he's a guy where he came in as a 18-year-old, and he's already playing top 4 minutes. And I know that Kirby Dach got to play the whole season with Chicago, but to see Heinola also get an NHL experience, being someone who is outside of the top 15 picks, no less, he is someone to definitely look at. He's been a factor for Finland. He is someone that's going to be a good backbone for their defense. And when I look at that forward group, Anton Lundell, this was a guy where I really didn't know where he was going to go, but I knew for sure he was going to go in the top part of the draft. He has really shown.
He bounced around a little last year. I didn't realize to look at his hockey DB. Obviously, went to Winnipeg, then went back to the league after going to the AHL for a bit. Handful of games, only 3, but I'm sure he's making a point here to say, I'm ready to stick it in North America, whether that's the AHL or NHL. He's probably going to prefer the NHL, but he's making a statement. All right, let's talk about Russia and why they are probably the biggest threat to Canada in this tournament. Because, my God, did they suffocate the Americans? It was, first of all, Yaroslav Askarov, which it turns out it's Askarov, not Askarov. But I figured that out. Thanks, Gord Miller. Askarov is such a fun goalie to watch because he's got they compared him to Grant Fuhr that he just love. That in a few years there's going to be a video package of Askarov giving the puck away a lot. There's going to be some ugly goals there, but boy, and he's got this weird thing where he'll make the easy save, but then he'll be the fish in the net, and it's like, how did he make the Curtis McElhaney special? He's just such a fun goalie. And just the rest of that Russian team their penalty kill is aggressive. They play heavy. They're on you. It's an unusual Russian team, but they are a joy to watch. And it's weird to say it about Russia because normally you just think firepower, and that's it.
Well, that's true.
But not this Russian team. They're aggressive.
Sorry. And they got some very interesting players. I mean, Igor Chinikov, who no one knew before June 23rd was the first round of the draft.
Yeah.
Columbus's guy.
That is Columbus's guy. Vasily Ponomaryov, Mikhail Abramov, who's the Leafs, obviously Askarov, Vasily Podkolzin, Amirov. Like they have some very interesting guys who are gonna be hits in the NHL. And I think that's gonna be great for them. They're also coached, and I think Daniel might enjoy this, by Igor Larionov.
He's a good story, by the way.
Mhm.
Very nice. Daniel, then, what do you think of the Russians?
Yeah, I think that a big thing that in a lot of tournaments I've seen in the past, even up until maybe the last Olympics, that the criticism they kind of had with Russia, where you had these glaring stars, you had that firepower from your snipers, but then you look at the bottom six, you look at, outside of Andrei Markov, you're like, what do you have on defense?
It's like Orlov and Markov was it.
Yeah.
Emelin was there. It was like, oh great, Tarasenko is our second liner, like scoring winger with Kuznetsov. This is great. But then you make a very good point. It's like, what else is there?
Yeah, but what I see with this team for the World Juniors is that, there's these guys that maybe they've been those top six guys on their other teams, and finally, like, they're playing that gray bottom six. They're playing that team they're so balanced everywhere that I agree. They're going to be the biggest threat to Canada, and like Askarov, or how we have to say it right now. Like, it's always funny with these tournaments. Like, I didn't know it was Devin Levi, by the way.
I still don't know how to say Stützle properly. Stützle.
Yeah.
Somebody tell me how to say it. It doesn't help when Ferraro and Miller both say different things.
Yeah, you don't know who to trust. But what I gotta find with Russia is that they're gonna be one of the teams to beat. I know it's hard for Alex to look at this team and say, like, man, I want Rodion Amirov to go off, but not against Canada.
I don't know if this is just because obviously in that game I was trying to keep a very close eye on Cole Caulfield, but it felt like whenever I saw Amirov, he was breaking up a play. I think he was on their penalty kill. I could be 100% wrong, but of the Russians,
I heard the same thing.
I heard a lot about Amirov. Like I'm looking at I'm focusing on the other team, and the guy is definitely making a name. It's so weird to think of Russia having these utility players, and they are you can tell they're out for blood from last year.
I remember
not over that TSN camera.
Yeah, I remember looking at like, if I'm going to just focus on Amirov again, is looking at his player profile from the time he actually joined the KHL up until now, where that's been a big thing for him. What the Athletic talked about was he has to learn how to be a player that can also play outside of the top six, because as a 17, 18-year-old, you're not going to get the prime minutes in
Especially
the KHL.
In Russia,
yeah. So the way they're kind of molding him now in that men's league to be that two-way guy, to be someone that, in a way reminds me of Ilya Kovalchuk, who came in, just wanted to score, and then goes to a system like New Jersey. We're like, hey, listen, you actually have to play defense too. You have to back check. It's great to see that, he's becoming more of a polished forward like that.
Yeah, it's good to see, because I think from a Leafs perspective, when the pick was made, myself included, I didn't really know much about him, and it also didn't help that Sportsnet put up just his KHL stats, which was by far one of the worst things they could have done, which never, still to this day, doesn't really necessarily make sense to me. But I think him breaking out, and I think him being in this tournament, is going to open a lot of people up to Rodion Amirov, which for the Leafs is a good thing, because I think a lot of people don't like that pick.
Because I believe, don't draft for need. Like, I know this is off the board, but if you're in that range, go for the potential, go for the upside. Don't draft on need.
Right.
That you're not going to see that guy for 3 years.
GMs?
Yeah, we should.
We should be general managers.
By the way, some breaking news out of the World Juniors. A decision regarding Braden Schneider's hit will be coming soon.
Oh.
Also, the hit in the Austrian game is soon to be coming. That will be looked at as well. Also, Germany will be getting 2 defensemen and their goalie back. They've been they're good. They've been released from quarantine, and same with all of Sweden's staff. So they're getting their coach back. So
That
a lot
is
of
wonderful.
A lot of good news coming out of there. Yeah, but it was Philip Wimmer who was, I know I'm saying that right, who was the Austrian player. Okay. America, let's go. Team USA. Weird tournament to start. They got smothered by the Russians, and then they beat up Germany's little brother Austria last night. And
These history references.
I know, I love them though.
Again, at least like Canada, it wasn't even just they were taking a ton of shots; it's everything was going in. At one point, I stopped keeping track, but at one point, and I made sure to keep track of the American shots very carefully here. Shots were 69-5 for the Americans in the third. Now, everyone was kind of thinking that hopefully the Austrians can get more shots because the World Junior record for the least amount of shots in the game is 6. Austria got past 6, luckily, but it wasn't looking good. The Americans had well over 70 shots at the end of the game. It was 10-0, I believe. But of course, they have a full team, so people weren't really complaining as much. What's really good here, Daniel, is Trevor Zegras did not have a great game versus the Russians. Not many of the Americans did, though he came into that game. I don't know if you guys saw the goal where he roofed. I think it was his second goal where he roofed it. Oh, he was. I forget about like the professional analysis here. Zegras was disgusting last night. He is a player. I know you were concerned about the sort of about the Ducks maybe bringing him a bit too early there, Daniel. But and again, we'll talk about judging players based on best play in a second here. Though, if Trevor Zegras had any doubters at this tournament, I think he shut him up last night. Because, and again, against Austria, yes, but the skill was there. The Americans needed a confidence booster, and they got that last night.
I was gonna say something. I'm like, with all those 5 shots, were those all from Marco Rossi? But
man, every time I heard his name, I'm like, oh yeah, he's Austrian.
But yeah, I think with the U.S. team as well, that who they've been able to kind of bring, they have a good balance between these guys who look like they're NHL ready, NCAA players, a lot of returnees, and they're a team against, maybe they didn't really bring it their best against Russia. Maybe they're shaking off a bit of rust, but the way they kind of went into the Austria game, it kind of showed that, this is the flashes of potential they do have on this team where, they're able to throw out 3 scoring lines. They're able to kind of, show, flex that defense they have. They have a really solid, defensive pairings like Cam York. He was the kind of guy where I kind of dismissed him at the draft because I don't know, he looked like just that defensive guy that, it's a safe pick kind of thing where, you kind of go later into the draft and you kind of think don't always go for the safe pick, but he's their captain. He's someone that's been able to kind of really kind of grow throughout the games, but the one thing I kind of feel is I'm not too high on Spencer Knight yet. I'm really not.
That game against the Russians was not good. That giveaway was, I think if there is one criticism about the American defense is their decision making in the defensive zone is not great. I think we need to say that. And also, Knight was not we're talking about the sense of a lot of prospects, right? Who was that defenseman they took really early on?
Tyler Clevin.
No, not Tyler.
Jake Sanderson.
Jake Sanderson.
Yeah. Did you guys see Jake Sanderson's giveaway after the Russians were pressuring him? And I'm not trying to give crap to Jake Sanderson. He's great. He's going to be a great player. He's an all-around defenseman, but was Knight great? No, his own giveaway was terrible, though the Americans did not do their best to support him in that game.
the talent there is elite, I believe, and these are all like cornerstone guys in their respective teams. Just what we said, like little mistakes that really add up, the cracks that are there that really kind of lead this team to these defeats have been something that's been a bit concerning. And we've joked about whether or not who was the last best first round pick goalie, but like Spencer Knight, just maybe it's just these tournaments, maybe it's just these are so insular that I don't know. I don't feel the potential there. And, I could probably be wrong in the next 4 or 5 years. I don't know.
I feel like you're being a very big Askarov fan right now.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
Well, like you're definitely doing that.
I believe that Yaroslav will be a friend of the show eventually.
Have you seen Spencer Knight's numbers at Boston College?
Yeah, he's been pretty damn good.
Have you, Daniel? No, don't look at them now. Don't look at them now.
No, wait, can I know. Wait, do you want me to look at them?
Oh, I have them up already.
Oh, so do I.
Go ahead if you want.
I know he's been good in the NCAA.
I already pulled them up before.
Yeah.
But remember who said, I know he was a draft pick, but you remember who said something about NCAA numbers and, it's kind of like gambling. Who said that?
Who?
Ryan Burke. Yes.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, you'll sometimes get the guy out of the draft and out of the NCAA with these numbers, but then sometimes it doesn't work out, but sometimes it does work out. Where his biggest example was Tyler Bozak, where undrafted guy, but you just never know with NCAA numbers because it also depends how many schools there are.
I think you're being a tad harsh here. I think we're comparing Tyler Bozak to Spencer Knight here. Like Spencer Knight, throughout the year, he was supposed to be a first round pick. Like this wasn't a new thing. He's going to be a good goalie. Like I don't necessarily think that's in question here. In my opinion, like you might have a different opinion than me.
I don't think he's going to be bad. I just don't think he's going to be like 90 overall in NHL.
This is Daniel's first hot take on the 2-on-1 podcast.
Remember it well.
We need to remember this.
All right. I want to talk about Cole Caulfield now.
Okay.
Shea Weber's son.
Honestly. As I pull up a picture, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know what Shea looks like without a beard. So
I don't think anyone does. Okay. Or at least not.
Right, I'm going to find one.
In his adult life. Okay. First question.
I found it.
What do Steven Stamkos and Alexander Ovechkin have in common?
It took a while to get a cup.
That's a good point.
No.
Do you want to see a picture of Shea Weber with no beard quickly?
Is he 19?
Nope. It doesn't look like he is.
Oh, God.
Whoa.
Okay, anyway, stop that for a second.
Sorry.
What do Ovechkin and Stamkos' games have in common?
They're very good goal scorers. Or they had
Speed and
potential
shot.
to be. They had potential to be very good goal scorers, and they both did become very good goal scorers.
They're both right-handed as well, right? Yeah.
Oh, is that what?
They both play on the same spot on the power play, on the circle, right?
Oh, okay. Was that the answer?
Why is Kaliev playing the circle and not Caulfield? Why are you putting your best goal scorer in the high slot? What are you doing? And why? Like, the Boldy line has been great. And anyone who is dare making fun of Cole Caulfield, and I am a Habs fan, but guess what? I can watch a game and realize how good the guy is. He is the best. How Cam York got player of the game against Russia? You did not watch. For the love of God. You know what he has? He has, and I don't know this feeling being a Canadians fan when other players watch my team, but when Ovechkin gets the puck, when Matthews gets the puck, when Stamkos gets the puck, I stop breathing because I'm like, oh crap, they're about to score. Caulfield has that damn effect, okay? And how in the world he played less than 18 minutes against the Russians? I don't care if the American wingers got caught out and he couldn't get in. What are you doing, America? Why is Kaliev there? He was so bad they took him off the top line. By the way, Caulfield not playing with Zegras and Turcotte because whatever, even though the moment they put him with the Russians, guess who all of a sudden started getting chances? The top line with Cole Caulfield. the scoring chances that he is. By the way, not the only goal. Two of the goals that the Americans actually scored against the Russians. The first one, it was Boldy and Caulfield's work behind the net that actually got it for York shot. By the frickin' way, might I add. And then what? How dumb was it? Zegras who buried one and gave the Russians a cold stare when the team was still down and they lost. By the way,
I love his confidence.
Understand what the hell they were doing and how they are using him. I do not understand it, and how people and Byfield is getting the same treatment are looking at the way these guys are playing and saying no. Like, if we're just saying, okay, Dylan Cousins had 6 points, I believe, against the Germans. By your logic, you are now trying to tell me, and I'll use your guys' McKinnon example. If McKinnon had an assist and Cousins has six points alone, you're saying, based on your World Junior scoring here, that already Cousins is a better player than Nathan McKinnon.
He actually did only have one assist in 2013.
That was the argument too, where I remember Jonathan Drouin, when he didn't make the Lightning team, he went back for second World Juniors, and I remember like there was that expectation too, like this guy's gonna be like Jordan Eberle's like scoring pace or something. I remember it was something like that, but yeah, at the same time, it's just what we've said before. Like these guys come into the tournament that, you know, as much as we have fun for it, I think the biggest thing right now is how, and I've used this word a lot too, is insular this tournament is, especially the way the times are, where you're going to look at the little things a lot more because we don't really have any other hockey to look at.
Just stop evaluating players solely on the fact of best on best.
Can I show you my tweet that I just sent out? I just thought of it now.
You know what I just kind of thought about the U.S. though? Wow.
I'll read it out. Hockey Twitter, : points aren't the only metric to determine how good a player is. Also Hockey Twitter. Cole Caulfield doesn't have any points in one game.
I just hate it. I hate it so much.
Like, I know we're big Marc-Andre Fleury fans, and he only has back-to-back silvers.
That's fair.
Therefore, he's not that good.
Yeah, like the one thing I kind of find too is this is my analysis of that U.S. game, and you know this might be wrong, but what I kind of found that they knew that they were not going to win it, and I think the coach just cycled through possible line combinations, seeing who was going to fit where, who's going to fit there, because like every period it was something different. So I think the U.S. is a team that at the same time they had so much layover between practices and games that they're still figuring it out. They're still figuring out what works, how these guys are going to fit. And, you know, it was kind of rough with seeing where Cole Caulfield fit, because he is someone that, you know, he is a 19-year-old. He's someone that should be, you know, on that top offensive line.
Like, he's already playing miles better than he did last tournament too. And it's infuriating to watch.
Did you just confuse a forward prospect for a defenseman?
I don't know. Your name was Steve Dangle. Though
Nick Robertson's not a defenseman.
Apparently not. I mean, just to go like, I mean, this, it's not even just happening with Caulfield. It's happening with Byfield too. And I think I said, I don't remember when I sent you this text or sent the text out. Was it this year? Was it today or last night? And it's like, clearly the smart asses on Twitter are like, I don't know. And it goes back to my tweet, like, to figure out which one it is that you want to pick. Do you want to pick the analytics late, or you just want to be a pain in the side? Because right now you're the latter. Not you guys. I mean, hockey Twitter.
Yeah, those guys. Canada, by the way, let's talk about Byfield. He had an assist in the 16-goal game, and everyone is just jumping on him like, you know, he's garbage. Rachel Dore was really, really funny to look. I think she said like people were giving her crap, even though she had been watching Byfield play hockey since he was a kid with her younger brother, which was
that's not good enough.
I love her so much. And again, you know, not like she worked for an NHL team. Maybe we should kind of listen to her. And she's been very much on the side of stop judging these players and how they're going to play in a NHL regular season setting on a best on best tournament. It's like I just don't know what you're sort of thinking here. Is like, especially with Byfield, he's so talented. I don't get why people are instantly like, nah, he's bad. It's one of the bad things about the World Juniors.
I think one thing is they kind of look at, and this happens every time, where when it comes to the international play of things, you're not going to see your favorite guy always be on the first line. There's going to be a lot of shuffle. There's going to be a lot of players where I think Quinton Byfield, the way, because Canada's so stacked, but the way his game translates so well, it's like that power forward style that's definitely someone like I wouldn't mind anchoring like a third line, like in the context of a scoring third line that, plays that solid two-way game, because I think that's where he fits in perfectly right now. And, maybe the chemistry is not where we're seeing it, but I think he's been playing a good game. Like, I don't think he has to necessarily put up like those 7 points, like games. Cause okay, one example I have is I remember Eric Branson in the tournament was a leading scorer, right, for Canada at the time. But like, that doesn't mean like, yeah, he was going to be the next Chris Pronger.
How many times have we heard this is the next Chris Pronger? This is the next Dino Chara, by the way. That's always a fun one. But Canada,
yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, and maybe we can, I don't know if you want me to read that. I want to read that tweet out again that I was telling you guys before, because I think it's a really important point to get across about from Lauren Kelly with the Nathan McKinnon stuff. Do you want me to read that now?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's from Lauren Kelly, who is an OHL scout with Elite Prospects. You might have seen her on Steve Dangle's prospect pyramid, the last one, the latest one. Many players had great World Juniors careers that never panned out in the NHL. Daniel, you must know a couple.
Yeah, so quite a few. One example is I love Jordan Eberle.
Yeah.
I really do love him. He's one of my favorite players. But that said, he is always on TSN's annual, the top players from the World Junior Tournament. And he is among certain names where I don't think that if you look at his NHL career, he's going to be among there.
Right.
And I think I take that into context. And, there's going to be, and, one biggest thing I'll take from this are goalies. If we're going to look at goalies, like, you'll see Carey Price and, we'll maybe see, the emergence of Carter Hart in the coming years. But when you really look back on this tournament, like that's about it since like 1998 when Roberto Luongo was the starting goalie for Canada. Because when you look back on those prospects, the goalies that have won it for them, like, in my heart and in my nostalgia, I love these guys, but, they didn't become those superstars that everyone thought he was going to be, like Justin Pogge, Dustin Tokarski, Jake Allen. Like, these are goalies that, we get hyped up for, the guys that, they've stolen games for for Team Canada, but, they didn't really make it. Or even I'll look at the example of the 2005 team where, that is considered the most stacked Canada team ever.
No.
And, the two goalies Jeff Glass ended up playing like 3 games in the NHL, but this is when he was like 32 already. But
was that with Chicago?
Yes, that was with Chicago. He was really drafted by the Ottawa Senators. Yeah. I remember because he was the pick right before Justin Pogge in 2004. But those two goalies that year was Jeff Glass and Rajan Beauchemin. And I have a funny story about Rajan Beauchemin. He went in the 6th round in 2003 to the Philadelphia Flyers. And I remember when they talked about him, and he missed the draft because he thought he was not going to get drafted. And he woke up to a text from his agent saying, "You got drafted in the 6th round." Shoot. But I'm saying this, where these are two guys that they absolutely dominated in North Dakota in 2005. And they will forever be part of that stacked 2005 team. But they never really, broke on through in the NHL at the next level.
Yeah, that was okay.
Or Braden Shen. Okay, I like Braden Shen. Solid guy, but he didn't become a superstar based on his World Junior numbers.
Right. And then the rest of the tweet, yes. Many players who didn't put up many points at the World Juniors have gone on to become superstars in the NHL. What if we had written off Nathan McKinnon as a bust after his 1 assist World Junior career? I believe he was in the 2013 World Juniors. The second part of the tweet, this tournament doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of 99% of players' careers. Instead, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience most of them grow up wanting to have. Let them enjoy it. And I think that last part's a really good point that a lot of people forget. Like and I think the same could potentially go with the Olympics. Like if a group of guys go to the Olympics, and I know they're not generally going to be young guys, they're going to be older. If they have a poor Olympics, how in the world does that have anything to do with their NHL numbers?
I have a good example for that.
Okay.
Before we move on.
Oh, great. Yeah.
If we look at 2010.
Okay.
And we say, man, that Martin Brodeur guy, despite his excellent goalie mass that year, you guys should really search that. I think it's one of the best for Canada. But, he shouldn't have been the starter as much as I love Marty. Like, he was 38. He barely beat Switzerland in the shootout. And then he lost really badly against the United States. And, if we can look at that and we look at that international tournament, or even look at 2002 and 2006, where he didn't really have the best tournaments, but they win in 2002. They lose to Russia in the first round in 2006. Like, that doesn't just say, like, hey, Martin Brodeur is not a Hall of Famer.
Did he start in 2010?
So Luongo started the first game against Norway, and then Mike Babcock was like, Marty had a really solid game against Switzerland, even though we almost lost, but he's going to go against the United States.
What a surprise. Canada going with the old guy. Sorry.
But yeah, even like we look at 2014, there's certain players like, that was a very low scoring Olympics, by the way. And you look at every player on that team, like nobody was a point per game player. And it's not like that Canada was not absolutely stacked.
It's about the system.
Yeah. Again, Mike Babcock team.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Dan Hamhuis made the team, guys. And Patrick Sharp.
Chris Kunitz made an Olympic squad. It's just they're questionable. They're questionable sometimes. It's listen, not everyone's going to be your first line scorer.
Oh, before we move on, sorry, just one more example of the guys that do not make the World Junior teams but end up being solid.
Let's hear it.
For that stacked 2005 team,
yeah,
Eric Stahl didn't make the cut.
Okay.
He was second overall in the draft. Eric Stahl didn't make the cut, and before the concussions, and he was a really great power forward. Nathan Horton didn't make the team.
He was wicked before his injuries, too.
And 2010, Tyler Sagan did not make the team.
I bet they just didn't like his attitude.
Yeah.
That's typical of them. All right, to finish off, do we want to give our taxi squad projections?
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
All right, so
You go first.
as you know, ladies and gentlemen, rosters are a big load of fun for this season in the NHL. Taxi squads are going to be this whole solution to less travel and expanded rosters and that. I've just put 6 guys, and I have them separate from my scratch players. My scratch players, obviously, if you've seen my most recent video predicting the Habs rosters and lines, go check it out. Mikhail Frolik, and if it's Jake Evans, if he loses the job to Frolik, doubt he will. Jordan Wheel and Victor Mete. My taxi squad, first off, my third goalie, which NHL teams are required to carry, is Charlie Lindgren. Leave Primo alone. Same with McNiven. We don't quite know what Vasily Demchenko is yet. Ryan Paling as well. I just didn't seem to work in the AHL, and he needs to come in ready for camp. Xavier Ouellette as well is a guy that guys like Brooke and Juleson need to stay in the AHL as well, so Ouellette's there. Same with Alex Belzile. K.O. Fleury's there as well. And my 6th guy I kind of had a bit of problems with. Cap friendly had Joseph Blaine-DC as a sort of projection. Again, a guy like Yessi Alana needs to stay down there. I would actually like a guy like Lucas Vigdemo to sort of get a shot. Another young guy who's known more for his defensive game than he is forward. Assistant coach in Laval, Alex Burrows, has spoken really highly of him in the past, and I don't think he looked that bad in the few NHL games that he has had. So those are my guys again: Lindgren, Paling, Ouellette, Belzile, Fleury, and Vigdemo / Blaine-DC. Alex, go ahead.
For the Leafs, my goalie to get it out of the way, Aaron Dell.
Excellent.
He's an
I think
82.
somehow an 82 in NHL. I think they'd rather keep Michael Hutchinson in the A. I mean, he was there for a year and a half, I think. Now, just because I already did my lines, I'm just going to assume that when I did my lines when we did it a couple months ago, we'll just stay the same. So my taxi squad is going to be Barabanov, Patan, Kenny Agostino, Callie Rosen. I struggled with putting Timothy Liljegren in there. I think I'd rather keep him in the AHL because I'd rather have him playing than sitting in the taxi squad. Martin Marincin, because who doesn't love a little Martin Marincin, and Dennis Mulligan.
I forgot Mulligan was a thing.
Yeah.
Daniel.
What I like, before I go to my team, what I like about these two squads is I think they mentioned it before. Eric Engels has also mentioned it, I think 2 days ago for Sportsnet or not 2 days ago, 5 days ago. I thought it was Christmas today. Sorry. I thought it's the 25th still. That's what the holidays do to you. But yeah, like there's just that influx of like suddenly there's so much depth, but there's also the young guys, and you have to kind of figure out how you're going to give them the minutes and who really is someone that you could expect to grow either with the taxi squad or with the AHL. So I think like you guys have had good selections, because I think the Timothy Liljegren one and even the Kenan Primo one, because I know a lot of people were calling on him to, maybe play a few games, but you never know with goalies. For me, and this is pretty an easy one because the Ducks have a weird carousel of players. So I'm gonna have to go with Sonny Milano, Derek Grant, and before I move on, congrats to Derek Grant on getting engaged. Forever a Duck, it's the third time he's a Duck.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be Christian Drews and Jakob Larsson, and the goalie will be, I think by necessity, is gonna be Anthony Stolarz, because I don't think Lucas Dostal is coming to North America, and we celebrated Ryan Miller coming back. An interesting thing I kind of found with this lineup is the projection on Daily Faceoff or even Cap Friendly. Like, I don't know, the Ducks still have like two enforcers on their fourth line, and I'm just gonna dismiss that as old time thinking, because like I don't see them rolling that out anymore, because like you just don't have the scoring to to compensate for that anymore.
Who are they? Delorier and
Carter Rowney.
Yeah.
He's still around, is he?
Yeah.
All right.
I remember he was on the first line in Pittsburgh because there were so many injuries. He was like on the right side of Crosby.
Of course he was. Joe Smith from Burlington. You're with
Joe
Crosby.
Smith.
Then Buffalo are going to sign you to a 3-year deal and buy you out after the second year.
Wait, Joe Smith or Josh Archibald on line with Connor McDavid?
Both. He's the left winger. Is that everything then? I believe.
Oh, we can't forget to mention Blackhawks legend Slater Cuckoo has signed for Edmonton, and that doesn't change anything. Okay.
Does he play 21 minutes?
Probably. It's like, okay, who are we playing? Chris Russell or Slater Cuckoo? Okay.
I remember Chris Russell scored his own goal against the Leafs.
Yes, I do. I do remember that.
Kadji was like, ah.
Yeah. How about don't score on your own goal?
Yeah.
Defense 101.
Don't score.
Yeah, obviously.
Stop it.
That's funny.
All right. Daniel,
Adam.
you can do the intro.
Oh, and Carl Soderberg. Don't forget Carl Soderberg. 1 year, 1 year, 1 million Chicago. Again, doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
He plays on the top line, takes the Brandon Saad minutes.
You could deal him for like a second. Not a second, like a third or a fourth of the
I don't know. Derek Stepan's is apparently available for worth the second, so I don't know what Carl Soderberg's worth anymore.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Daniel, take it away. I'm getting very tired.
All right. This was a fun episode, guys. Listeners, thank you again for taking the time. And whatever platform you choose, doesn't matter to us. Apple, Spotify, VoiceEd, YouTube. now we're on Twitch. Sometimes we'll have the episodes there as well. Thank you again, VoiceSet, for giving us this platform. Thank you to Adam and Alex for giving me the time to go on my World Junior rants and my first hot take of the year. Expect more in 2021. We'll change that up a lot more.
It's your New Year's resolution.
My New Year's resolution: more hot takes. Please remember to check
and fill that back wall.
Yeah, fill the back wall. That's
finish the Batmobile.
Finish the Batmobile.
Clone Wars.
This is always the longest outro. But yes, finish Clone Wars. I'm getting through it slowly.
Yeah, finishing it. You're barely starting it.
Yeah, I'm like 6 episodes in.
Oh, you made up 2. That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, progress. I'm like a goalie with this. You need to be patient with me in the system.
Okay.
But anyways, check out Adam's YouTube channel. Check out everything Alex does, which is your show coming back too, right? The JB.
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Maybe. Yes. Check me out wherever I am, we don't know yet. Tune in to be determined, but we'll have Will Baldwin to confirm.
We have to do that, by the way.
Yeah, that'd be
just
funny.
a clip. Just a
clip.
He does, if he doesn't want, he doesn't even have to come on.
Yeah,
if he doesn't want,
it could be a voice clip or anything.
Please to announce.
But yeah, we will be back on Wednesday, and we will figure that out. But we will have content, and we will be back. Enjoy the World Juniors, everyone, and we will see you next episode.
I don't know how on I'm going to be our next Wednesday show because I'll be back to Montreal at the Coliseum, and I'm going to have to start building that Lego some bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh no, we don't use the outro music anymore, do we?
What outro music?
Bye.